welcome to another episode of Regular Beer Reviews, where regular doesn't refer to the beers being reviewed, but to the reviewer, myself. I'm Jesse, and tonight I'm going to be reviewing a beer that I have never had before, from a brewery that I've never had anything from before, but I've seen around a lot. This is from the Erie Brewing Company, and it is their Rail Bender Ale. Let's look at the numbers on this beer. Rail Bender Ale from the Erie Brewing Company out of Erie, Pennsylvania. Beer Advocate gives this beer an 82, which is good, and that's with 567 ratings. The Bros give it a 94, which is outstanding. Rate Beer gives it a 33 overall with a 15 for the style. It has an ABV of 6.8%. It has a year-round availability. 26 IBUs. The style is a Scottish ale, which I'm not sure if I've ever had an American style Scottish ale before. I probably have, but at the time, it was just a beer that I had at a bar, or just bought and didn't research at all. I just bought it and drunk it and didn't read the label or anything. So here's a quick description from Rate Beer. It says Scottish style ale. Erie Brewing Company's flagship beer features a deep malt flavor, caramel sweetness lingering in a soft hop flavor. Dark amber, 16.5 degrees. I'm not sure what the 16.5 degrees indicates, but that's what it says. Anyway, it says beer stories. Erie, Pennsylvania, the site where 3 sets of railroad track gauges met, was an important transportation hub in the mid-19th century. Rail Bender Ale is named after the laborers who laid the railroad tracks. It is brewed with pride, strength, and purity. Symbolic of Erie's historic railroads and their workers, Rail Bender is a strong Scottish ale with astonishing drinkability. One try and you'll want to bend the rules and ride the rails. So, again, I've seen this brewery around a lot. I actually got quite a few of their beers here, so I'm going to be doing reviews on hopefully all of them. And let's get this cracked open and see what it's all about. I'm just going to use, this is kind of my standard ale glass. I use it for red ales, amber ales, just different beers like that, Irish ales. So I'm going ahead and get this poured here. Looks nice. Let's go on ahead and get an appearance on this beer. It is a nice, it's a nice amber color, most definitely. Amber color, dark gold, kind of a lighter amber color, kind of reddish orange tinges going on there. I'm seeing a lot of carbonation streaming up. I'm seeing what looked about a 1.5 to 2 finger head is now dissipated to about a 1 finger head. Pretty big bubbles. Looks kind of frothy. I'd say it's maybe bone white or a very light beige. So yeah, let's just go on ahead and jump into the nose on this one. Oh wow, that smells super malty. I mean, that's like really bready, yeasty, little bit of caramel, a little bit maybe of toffee, maybe like some brown sugar. It's super sweet. I mean, it smells like Cara syrup, the dark Cara syrup. It's just really sweet, almost. Which I doubt they use like cheap adjuncts in this beer. I doubt they use adjuncts, but almost smells like when you get like an amber bock or something. It's supposed to be a darker, beer with more caramel malts or something, but it has that kind of corn water smell. That's what this kind of reminds me of. It's just like a really corn syrupy, really generic, super malty, very bready. It's super malty, but it's like really bready, really sweet, kind of yeasty. It's not really, I mean, I can definitely smell those darker malts like the caramel and the toffee, but that doesn't really dominate in the malt profile of this. I'm really picking up a lot of breadiness. I'm not picking up really any hops whatsoever. Like I said, it almost smells like maybe a little brown sugar, maybe like a molassesy type smell, but it smells super sweet. It smells like sweet tea or something. So let's just go on ahead and jump into this one. Oh well, the malts aren't the kind of breadiness isn't really as prevalent in the taste as it is in the smell. I mean, it's definitely there, but it's kind of mild on the front of the palate, a little watery on the mouthfeel. Middle of the palate, though, you get those sweet malts. I'm picking up the caramel. I'm picking up the toffee. Definitely some yeastiness there. At the back of the palate, there's a little bit of a bitterness. I might contribute to that, like to the slightest, like roastiness of, like, the kind of burnt character of the caramel or whatever. I wouldn't necessarily contribute it to hops. It does mention a soft hop flavor, and that might be what it is. And if it is, they've done it like really subtly. I mean, like, it's super subtle in the flavor. Um, but I mean, there's, other than that slight bitterness, there's not really any hop. Excuse me. There's not really any hop characteristics. There's not really any floralness or citrusiness, or anything like that. Um, it definitely looks a little more carbonated than it feels on the mouthfeel, or then it looks a little more carbonated than it is on the mouthfeel. It doesn't feel quite so carbonated. It doesn't, sting my mouth or anything. It doesn't fizz up. But the head there is, I mean, there's a little bit of lacing, and then the head is kind of just like a frothy ring there now, if you can see. Um, it's hard to see because of the lacing there, but I mean, it's not a terrible beer, but this is kind of generic. It's kind of, it's honestly, if one thing, the description, they're certainly not modest about what I would describe as certainly a mediocre average beer. I mean, it's okay. It's certainly, again, it's certainly better than a macro lager or something, but it's not like amazing. Yeah, this isn't super cold. I mean, this is only maybe, I just got these put in the fridge maybe an hour and a half ago, and this has been sitting out for 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, it's at like 70. So I can definitely really taste the flavors, that it's not, so ice cold that I can't really enjoy it. But it's definitely a beer that's, it's not like a cheap ice beer or adjunct lager that has to be ice cold to drink. But it's certainly sweet. There's like a syrup. It has a thin mouth feel, but the flavor is like really syrupy and sweet, like again, like molasses or caro syrup or something. There might almost be like hints of what I would say is like honey or something in the flavor, but it's not. Honey has a very distinctive flavor, whereas like syrups, it's just sugar, so it's just sweetness, and that's kind of what this is. Little caramel malt, little sweetness. I mean, a little caramel malt, maybe a little bit of toffee, brown sugar, some kind of molassesy. Um, really sweet, very thin mouthfeel. It's a mediocre beer at best. I would say that if you see it, I would say don't even pick it up. It's not that amazing. Rail Bender Ale from the Erie Brewing Company. I'm going to give this beer a 6 out of 10. That's a D. That's not that good. I don't think this beer is, that good. Again, over a macro lager or something, I mean, pick it every day. I pick it every day. I pick it any time. But there's nothing special about this beer that really stands out and says it's amazing. It almost kind of reminds me of, I did a while back, I did the Voodoo Lager or something from the Dixie Brewing Company. There's something out of New Orleans. I did a review on it. But I remember that as just tasting so sweet, so sickly sweet. And that's kind of what this reminds me of, just super, super sweet. Um, but again, I mean, it's not horrible, but then again, there's nothing great about it either. So, again, a 6 out of 10 for Rail Bender Ale from Erie Brewing Company. Thank you for watching, and keep watching again in the future for more reviews. Prost.